Well, it was a moment that I noticed early in the Tennessee game, and I asked Stetson Bennett about it. He was walking back and forth on the sideline while Georgia's defense was trying to hang in there against the Tennessee Vols. It was a very noticeable thing. I'd never seen Stetson walk back and forth on the sideline like that, but he was very noticeably doing that the other day. And I think that's one thing I want to touch on real quick. And this is what he told me when I asked him about it after the game. He said, I was ready to roll. It was a big game. We knew that Tennessee could get hot at any second. They're dangerous. The guys they have, the quarterback they have, they are super dangerous. If our guys see me walking on the sideline getting ready to go, they will know, all right, we have some urgency here. We have to go down there and score again. And I want to point that out because we've got a lot of games left to go here for Georgia. And Stetson Bennett has played in a lot of big games for the Dogs. None bigger than the national championship game a season ago, right? Well, he didn't do that last year. This is a different level of paying attention. I don't know what to call it, but this is different than we've seen from Stetson in the past. Normally he's with the guys, but if you saw it last week, he was walking in front of the offensive linemen. Like he was walking in the area where the offensive linemen were. And if you're on a team, you can't constantly talk. Like that's not you got to go do stuff. You can but more than anything, you got to be at some stage you can't talk, right? I mean, people don't want to hear you talk all the time. Y'all might want to hear me, but um, not all the time, right? So I think that it was a good way in terms of body language to get his guys' attention, to make sure that he had captured their attention, to know that, hey, I'm up, I'm out, I'm ready to go. Are you ready to go? If you're not ready to go, let me get you ready to go. I'm ready to play right now. And that's what we saw from Stetson. The pacing back and forth, I'd never seen that. The pacing back and forth was something to pay attention to, frankly. It was a very noticeable um, moment in Georgia's season so far. And Tennessee's the best team they played. Tennessee or Oregon, one of the two. I didn't notice this with the Oregon game. I didn't see it at Missouri when Stetson was banged up. He wasn't walking back and forth. Hey, we tomorrow on Sunday, 2 to 4, North Atlanta folks, Sunday, 2 to 4, Jeff Foxworthy and I are holding a book signing, okay, for the book at the Perimeter Barnes and Noble. We're very appreciative of the folks at Barnes and Noble. Perimeter Barnes and Noble, 2 to 4, the Perimeter Barnes and Noble. You can come grab the book. Now, listen, also, too, and we'll sign it for you. Believe me, maybe Jeff will tell some jokes. Um, What's not funny is our Kelee Ringo event is running out of tickets. I don't know that we'll be out of tickets today, but it's going to be soon. Take advantage of that. That's in Athens at Red Zone on the 20th, and that's going to be at 5:30 sharp. 5:30 sharp. Be there. Check out the details down below. It is a great value. You get the book included with the cost of the ticket, but check that out. But when you see Stetson go back and forth like that, you're reminded of the way that Nolan Smith talked about Stetson after the Florida game in 2000 was it 21. I think of the time that we heard a little bit of static in 20 about how Stetson seemed to kind of the team responded to him in a way that they didn't respond to JT Daniels. Why was that? Well, because he had been around for 3 or 4 years, whatever it was. I mean, it had been, Stetson had been there for uh, since 17, so 17, 18, 19, 20. He'd been there for 4 years. Well, one of those years he was gone, right? Briefly. But he matters, and his body language matters. Um, we are more than 20 games into the Stetson Bennett experiment at the University of Georgia. And an experiment sounds like a negative term. But the truth is that all of these guys are experiments, and the laboratory are those playing fields and the nutrition table and all of the other stuff that goes into being a player at Georgia, being someone that matters. That's the part that I think everybody forgets is you got to go do it all the time. You got to do it when it's not fun. You got to go to class. You got to do the nutrition. You got to do the practices, the lifting, the stretching. None of it's easy, man. None of it is easy. But Stetson's done all that. And that he's older, I think that does matter. It does matter because it's probably not that big of a deal for him. The older guys, when I was a freshman and we would get up for these 5:30 in the morning runs, we had to get up at 5:30. And you had to get up at 5:30 because we ran at 6. Well, why would you get up at 5:30? Because you had to be early. If you were on time, you were late. All right. The older guys, none of this bothered them. They were used to it. They had been around the block. They weren't doing dumb stuff the night before or that earlier that morning, basically. The older guys were used to it. You could see the spring in their step. They had been through it a lot. It's the younger guys that it takes a little time to get used to. Okay, we got to go lift. Now we got to go run. Then we got to do pro sets. Then we got to do fundamentals. And then we have about 45 minutes to eat, and you have to be at your 8 o'clock class because there's people there checking on you. And frankly, you should be there anyway. That's what playing in college is right there. I mean, it's the glory is great and everything, but it's all the work you got to do to be in position for the glory, which is not even guaranteed. There's no certainty of anything. That doesn't happen in life. It certainly doesn't happen in sports when the other guy's trying to choke you. So I think for me, stalking Stetson is an important moment in our review of the 22 season so far because I'd not seen that. I'd not seen that before. And I'm a pretty keen observer. I'm not in the press box. Guys up there, God bless them, some of them are really good at what they do. Some of them are. But they can't hear what we hear. They can't see what we see. And I can't see some of the stuff they see, by the way. And it just, my perspective gives me a different look at what's happening every single day. And some of the words that come out of the mouths of people on the field, and I'm not just talking about Kirby. It's a real fight down there on that field. And sometimes when you're not the one on the field fighting, you got to show folks, hey, this is how we're going to do it today. This is important today. This moment is important, and I'm ready to go right now. Thankfully, Stetson shaved his mustache. Stetson, we don't do mustaches. Those are summertime things. You're hanging out. You're getting your Top Gun on. I get it. We don't do mustaches during the season. It's just not okay. And we can talk about that at some point. You can call me out. That's fine. But we can't do mustaches, man. We can't do mustaches. That's for Jones Community College, right? That's for Jones Community College. But I think that I think you've got an older leader and you've got an older performer. That's the part I think everyone's missing out on. The critics of Stetson Bennett, of which there always will have, I mean, there are critics of Bryce Young. If you're the quarterback at an SEC school, you're going to get criticized. But the truth is that I do think that we had an older guy on our team. He had been in the Army for a little bit of time, and for however long he had to be in the Army. But he was 24 or 5, and he seemed really old to an 18, 19-year-old Dean. Really old. He was the only guy who could drink before games, night before games. Coach would say no partying. And then when everybody would break, he'd say, okay, well, Benny can have some beers. All right. And it mattered because Benny was an adult. He just played on the team with us, right? And I think Stetson is an adult. And I do think that matters. Body language matters a lot. If I'm just sitting here like this, am I really interested in talking? Or what is it when I'm all up in the screen, I got something to say, when the voice is raised, the eyes are ready to roll? I'm doing this very early in the morning. That's one reason why I'm not so pepped up. But that's when you get ready for the day. That's when the day happens. You have to be prepared. And he was telling his guys, hey, we got to be ready to go. Tennessee never turned the ball over while he was pacing. But, man, he did it drive after drive after drive. I don't know what he was looking at. That's the part that I want to know the answer to. What was he looking at during that time? We'll see on the next video.